Well, hello and welcome into another edition of 8 Sports Nightcap. Got a little extra episode for you this week. Obviously, had a great conversation with Lori Collier-Warren earlier this week to talk everything Richmond Raceway, but we got some even bigger news than NASCAR coming to Richmond. As you see on your screen here, new sports reporter and anchor coming to 8 News. We're so excited to have her. I've been begging people around here, give me some help, please. It's been a one-man department for the past year. They realized, I guess, that I was doing okay enough job, or maybe I wasn't doing a good enough job. They're like, let's bring someone else in. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, bringing in Madelyn Frentress. Thanks so much for taking the time in your busy schedule here to sit down with me and kind of talk everything. Madelyn, welcome to the team. Welcome to Richmond. You've been here a couple of weeks now. How's it been?
Super happy to be here. And I don't know if I'd say I'm bigger news than the race coming to Richmond, but it's been a really exciting 2 weeks so far. I'm excited to just get more reps in. I mean, Friday at the racetrack was super fun too. Excited to cover NASCAR and all the other Richmond sports. So yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up first week on the job, and if you didn't tune into 8 News last week, I got behind the wheel.
You missed out.
I wasn't the only one behind the wheel. Madelyn also took some laps around Richmond Raceway as well. I mean, that had to have been a pretty cool way to start your week, right?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the first week of my first job out of college. I think it was the 5th day I was here. We went out to the racetrack, and we both got behind the wheel of the race cars. Great experience, also terrifying experience. I've never done anything close to that before.
Yeah, you did pretty good, right?
You did better than me.
No, a couple miles an hour. No, that was a lot of fun. You talked about a little bit, first job out of college. How about we give your viewers a little bit, or our viewers a little bit of some insight on your background. Where did you go to college, and what was that experience like? And then you're moved here to Richmond.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Bossier City, Louisiana. It's right across the Red River from Shreveport. I always tell people that aren't from Louisiana that I'm from Shreveport just because they know it better than Bossier City. Usually you drive through Shreveport if you're trying to get to Dallas. So that's probably how most people know it. But after high school, I went to LSU, Louisiana State University. Go Tigers. And while I was there, I joined Tiger TV, which was the big part of my broadcasting experience. I was a sports reporter for a year, then assistant sports director, then sports director. Got to cover a super fun LSU sports. I like to tell everybody that LSU is kind of an everything school when it comes to sports. We're kind of pretty good at everything across the board. Yep. And then I also did some time as a sports intern at WBRZ, which is the ABC affiliate down in Baton Rouge. So that's kind of where my broadcasting experience comes from. But yeah.
What made you maybe want to get into this career path? Did you play sports growing up or anything?
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier when I got in. I feel like most people do this job because in high school and growing up they were good at sports and they played sports, and that's why maybe they couldn't continue that career into college, and that's how they kind of wound up doing this. I'm actually the exact opposite. I was not good at sports. I've never been athletic. I'm probably the most unathletic person you've ever met in your life. I was a theater and newspaper girl in high school.
Okay.
So as much as I would have loved for that to have been my path, growing up doing sports and then coming to do this, pretty much the exact opposite. So I did gymnastics a little bit when I was really young.
Yeah.
But I think that perspective kind of gives me, the mindset of like, I respect these athletes so much for what they do, and I'm so impressed by it. And that's kind of why I'm doing this, because I respect them so much and I'm so interested in what they do, because I could never do that kind of thing myself. So,
well, obviously, maybe you didn't play them, but you are a big sports fan, right? I would imagine. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing something like this. Right. Who's your favorite? Who's your team? Do you have a favorite team?
So I hope this doesn't tank my viewership or make anybody hate me. It might. That's okay. I'll stand on it. So actually, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this and how I, found myself doing this job was growing up. My dad, he was a huge, and still is to this day, a huge Cowboys fan. His dad's a huge Cowboys fan. They grew up in Texas, and Bossier City is actually a little bit closer to Dallas than they are New Orleans. I know you have a little bit of beef with me because I'm not a Saints fan.
New Orleans fan. Being from
Louisiana has an NFL team. But anyway, I am a Cowboys fan, and I just remember growing up watching the Cowboys with my dad and that kind of being our way to bond. And now I would say like I'm more invested in football and know kind of the ins and outs, like even more than him. And he's just
Come to you first.
he's just happy to
Yeah.
talk about it with me and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I got into this. I saw, I really look up to people like Erin Andrews and Laura Rutledge and Tracy Wolfson, all those kind of female figures doing this.
Absolutely.
And I'd never really considered that a job option until later on, like in high school. And I was like, wow, I could actually pursue this. So that's how I kind of wound up here.
So that's your sport though, football?
Football is my sport.
Yeah.
LSU football, I wasn't always set on LSU, even though my family is big, are big LSU football fans.
Yep.
I wasn't set on LSU, but after I toured LSU, I was like, they have a great journalism school. This is a no-brainer for me. And covering all what I got to cover there as a sports reporter was just, it was a no-brainer decision for me, but yeah, so.
You mentioned you were in theater in high school, maybe not on the football field or the soccer field or whatever. Did you have any big roles in any plays, or a favorite play that you were in?
Yeah, my senior year, I played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger than that.
At our high school, so that was fun. I would love to still do theater, and I feel like that's another reason why I do what I do. The theater kid to news anchor / reporter / whatever you want to call it, pipeline is real.
I know. There's plenty of people that work here that used to be in theater.
Yeah, so it's the being on stage, not fearing the spotlight, that kind of thing. That also, I think, all that goes hand in hand with what I do now. So, theater kid at heart. Would love to still do it if there was an opportunity to, but I feel like I do kind of still do it. I still put on a performance doing my job.
A little bit, yeah. Obviously the moving from Bossier City to Richmond, I'm sure, was a little difficult. First job after college to leave your friends and family and drive all the way up to Virginia. Has it kind of been? I'm sure it's been different for you. What was maybe that move like in the decision to come all the way to Virginia?
Yeah, so I graduated in May. I didn't start my job search until around April, and then I think found out beginning of June that I got the job here, and this was also a no-brainer decision. I had looked into Richmond a little bit and all that it has to offer, and as much as I love home and love Bossier City and I love Baton Rouge as well, not a whole lot to do there, and the opportunities, especially for sports, that Richmond kind of has really enticed me to come here, and I've loved living here so far. It's beautiful, and I'm trying to find like my favorite restaurants and all that stuff, but the moving process was kind of crazy. My dad and I just packed up all of my stuff into a U-Haul and made if we weren't in a U-Haul, it would probably been about 16-hour drive, but since we had that big U-Haul and we were towing my car behind it, we probably spent around 20 plus hours in the car. So that was crazy, but I literally could not have made this move without my family, so I'm super grateful for them. But yeah, it's been a bit of a culture shock for sure.
You really?
Yeah. The one thing that Louisiana, as much as I love it, the one thing about there that maybe has been the biggest culture shock so far coming here was the roads, the toll roads. I started driving around, like, trying to find work, trying to find the stores and stuff like that. And everywhere you go, it's a toll road. And
it's just where we're at, where our station
we don't have those in Louisiana.
Our station sits right on the Powhite Parkway, so it wants you to always take that. So being over here in this area, it is a little tougher, but I'm sure that driving through Atlanta with that big U-Haul was difficult with all the merging lanes and whatnot.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. Like my dad and I was excited to be able to spend all this time with him, especially being so far away from my family. I was actually kind of excited for the drive in the U-Haul because I was so many hours of just time to talk with my dad and everything, and just catch up after everything that's happened. And we actually really did have a lot to talk about, and we kind of talked and joked and listened to music the whole ride here, except for Atlanta. We hit Atlanta. It was raining. There's 8 lanes of traffic going one way on the highway. It's backed up for an hour. My dad's we've been talking and chatting all casual this whole time. And then as soon as we hit Atlanta, he's locked in. He's dialed in, both hands on the steering wheel. looking at the road the whole time, like, okay, like when are we going to stop? Like, how much longer do we have left? But we made it through. So.
Yeah, I had that same experience. Driving through Atlanta with the U-Haul is terrifying.
It's tough. I'm so glad that he was able to do that because I don't know if I would have been able to.
Yeah, and maybe finally, what are you excited about this year in terms of this role and kind of what you want to get your hands dirty with?
Yeah, I think I can't decide if I'm most excited to cover football and just what I'm used to covering. Like at LSU, I covered a lot of football, and football's my favorite sport. But I'm also really excited to cover things that I haven't gotten to cover, like we were mentioning earlier with NASCAR.
Yep.
Friday, like I said, I've never done anything like that. NASCAR's not really big in Louisiana because we don't have any Cup Series tracks there. And so I'm sure there's a lot of fans there, but we just don't have a track. So there was nothing like that I ever covered. And being at the raceway on Friday was just such a cool experience, and I can only imagine it filled with fans and all that.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is probably crazy, so I'm really excited to cover that too.
Yeah, that'll be kind of your first big thing too, because that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and we're excited to have you here on the team. Obviously, for those watching, Blitz is right around the corner. Madelyn's going to kind of take over our game of the week section of the show with the preview, as well as being on the sidelines of the biggest game that's happening each week. And we're so excited to have you on staff here. Not just me, the anchors are excited. Everyone's pumped up that we're kind of expanding sports here after we went some time without it, and we're so thrilled to have you. How can our viewers find maybe some of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm trying to be better about Facebook. My Facebook is just Madelyn Frentress TV at the end, and then my Twitter is Mad Frentress, and then my Instagram is just my first and last name, Madelyn Frentress, and then just all my articles on the website. I believe you can find that through the team page, and hope you guys will follow my journey.
Perfect. Well, we're so excited to have you, Madelyn. Congratulations on making your nightcap debut.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good night.